everybody say welcome to Mr. Spiker from AB Florist.
Welcome, Mr. Spiker from AB Florist.
Wow.
Okay. And where are we today?
We're at Quartz Hill Elementary in a 3rd grade class, in Mrs. Porter's class. We have 31 bright and shining faces who have been enjoying learning about our great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And we've enjoyed learning history and what a great person he was for our civil rights movement. And so today Mr. Spiker is here to incorporate flowers as a way of honoring somebody and their memory. And today we're honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Well, Mrs. Porter, thank you very much for allowing us to come back into the class.
Thank you.
And students, thank you very much. Thank you? You sent me these thank yous. Who worked on these thank yous? Hands, show of hands, everybody. So we got a stack of thank yous from your class. And you know, that's kind of what we're doing today, is we're sending a thank you to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. for what he did for us. And so we're going to create a flower arrangement as a way of thanking him and symbolizing a lot of things about us and our lives in this world, and honoring. Honoring is very important. So you honored me with thank yous, and we're going to make a thank you arrangement to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and then we're going to take it to the district office and give it to the superintendent.
What?
And that's kind of like giving her an apple, isn't it?
Absolutely. Even better.
Okay, so Curly Willow, I've used Curly Willow to make this circle. Circle symbolizes eternity, perfection, but I used it this time as the starter for my ring, which is going to go into this arrangement. The next item, which is wheat. And wheat starts out green. And what do they do with wheat?
Eat it.
Yeah, that's right. You make bread and all those baking products out of it.
And wheat thins.
and probably we all had wheat for breakfast this morning. But wheat symbolizes health. It's healthy. And it symbolizes prosperity. I'm going to start my arrangement, and I have the container that holds water, and in the container is oasis, which is this foam, floral foam. We wet it up, and then it allows stems to stick in there. So, pokes in and it stands up. And that's how we're going to make the arrangement with this crazy. So this is kind of like foam, but it holds flowers. So I used the Curly Willow. I made the eternal circle. I'm going to set it into the arrangement. This is the hardest thing I have to do all day, is to get this to stand up in here. I may have to have Mrs. Porter come back and help me. We'll see if I can do this by myself. We're not done yet.
Want it to be up like that?
Yep. It's called mechanics. We need good mechanics for things to stay together. So when I set this on the district office desk, it looks awesome. So the next item is magnolia. The symbolism of magnolias in this arrangement is, magnolias are from the South, where Martin Luther King was born and did a lot of his work. And that's why we're using them in the Martin Luther King arrangement. So I'm going to be basing my arrangement with magnolias to hide that big piece of foam. And it's going to make my arrangement very solemn, but also very shiny. The next item is the white rose. Very pure, and they symbolize love. Yep. Look at that.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
You said it.
Ah.
You said it.
The next flower is a China mum. China mum. It's huge. This is a China mum, like the country China, C-H-I-N-A, and these are actually from Asia. And white China mums are called the golden flower. They symbolize grief. Yeah. Aren't flowers supposed to be happy? But there's a lot of flower occasions. And also the symbolism of the white China mum is, this is actually the flower that was used at Martin Luther King Jr.'s funeral. If you bring pictures up of his casket, there were chinamums and white lilies, and that's all. Very simple. And so I think the symbolism was he was a very simple person. They didn't need a big, huge flower bouquet for his funeral. They needed just a few chinamums and a few white lilies, and that's why we're using them in this arrangement. And the lilies, the large white lilies, I mentioned, and these actually have a fragrance, so they were used in Dr. King's funeral flowers. That's symbolism. And also the lily symbolizes, the lily symbolizes purity. Well, besides smelling good, did you all smell it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The white lilies stand for purity.
How do you spell it?
Purity. P-U-R-I-T-Y. Wow, I knew that because I went to school. High
We
five.
go to school.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. When I thought about making a flower arrangement to honor the memory of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I didn't want it to be commercial. I didn't want to do an advertisement about an important person passing. I simply wanted to honor him and his movement. And so we try to keep this arrangement simple. And we're making a video because we want to get the word out about beautiful flowers honoring an important person. But it's not a commercial. I don't want to, someone else can put hearts on it. We're just trying to keep it somewhat simple. Crazy little grass from Oregon called bear grass. Why do you think it's called bear grass?
Because it's like bear skin.
Well, because the bears actually sleep in it. Out there in the forest in Oregon. You go out in the forest and you see this area that's all mashed down, there's been a bear sleeping there. Plus, the reason I like the grass is it's green, it's natural, but it has a nice flow to it. It's not a straight line, it's got a little bend to it. What did Dr. Martin Luther King say? A flower that bends and is not broken. So he was beautiful, his life was beautiful, he was bent, but he was not broken. So, sometimes when people say quotes like that, it gives you something to think about, doesn't it? Yeah. You're going, what does that mean? And then, yeah. And that's the nice thing about symbolism and quotes, it makes you think.
Like to say that at the bottom on number 3, where I asked you to write a few sentences about how flowers can be used to honor Martin Luther King Jr., that you could draw right now a picture of the bouquet that Mr. Spiker is.
That's hard.
Going to the district office.
Yes, I'll put it in for you.
Any other questions? Thoughts?
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
It's amazing that I got to say is
Fantastic.
beautiful,
I wish I could go something like that.
beautiful, sweet, and amazing.
How
How did you do it?
Well, I had a good audience. Oh, the on button. It's not the first time. Ta-da! So, Mrs. Porter, why do we do this, and what do you think the value is for the kids?
I think that it's really important to recognize, we've talked a lot about why we have the 19th off in January and what we can do as individuals to honor and remember Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And flowers are a great way to incorporate what you feel and how you remember somebody. And he's incorporated grief and health and love and all these wonderful feelings that we have about a really important person in history. So the why is that it teaches the kids symbolism, and it teaches the kids that they can honor somebody, because we've been talking about how to honor Dr. Martin Luther King. We're going to honor him with artwork and with writing, and this is another example of how you can honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Spiker, Antelope Valley Florist. We're over here at Quartz Elementary. Now we're at the district office with Gina Rosal, the superintendent. We made this flower a tribute to the memory and the work and the person of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It's his week, his birthday's coming up. We celebrate it. So we wanted a flower arrangement that was appropriate for the day, for the person.
Very cool. I'm glad that my kids got to learn a lot about this today, and you know, it is our opportunity to recognize the contributions of Dr. Martin Luther King, and this is terrific. Just a terrific opportunity for my children to learn something about history, and also about recognizing those who came before them. So thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks for letting us into the classroom.
Not a problem, ever. Thanks.